Long before castles crowned the hills of Britain, before knights rode beneath banners of gold and crimson, and before the name Camelot echoed through the ages, there lived a mysterious figure whose wisdom shaped the destiny of a kingdom. His name was Merlin. Even today, centuries after his story first emerged from the mists of legend, Merlin remains one of the most fascinating figures in all of folklore. Some called him a wizard. Others believed he was a prophet. To many, he was simply a man touched by powers beyond ordinary understanding. Yet the truth of Merlin was perhaps far more extraordinary than any title. This is the story of the wizard who guided a king, united a fractured land, and became one of the greatest legends ever told. Our story begins in ancient Britain. It was a troubled age. The Roman Empire had long abandoned the island, leaving behind scattered kingdoms constantly at war. Rival rulers fought for power. Villages lived in fear of raids and conflict. Trust was rare, and peace seemed little more than a distant dream. Across the countryside, people whispered of strange omens. Comets blazed across the night sky. Wolves howled beneath full moons. Ancient forests seemed alive with secrets. Many believed that magic still lingered in the land. Not the kind found in children's tales, but an older magic, a deeper magic. A force woven into rivers, mountains, and forgotten stones. And among all who understood these mysteries, none was more remarkable than Merlin. According to legend, Merlin's birth itself was surrounded by mystery. Some stories claimed he was born with supernatural gifts. Others said he inherited ancient wisdom from forces beyond the mortal world. Whatever the truth, one thing became clear from an early age. Merlin was different. As a child, he seemed to know things he should not know. He could predict storms before clouds appeared. He understood the language of animals. He spoke of events that had not yet happened. The villagers regarded him with both wonder and fear. Many sought his advice. Others avoided him entirely. But Merlin paid little attention to either praise or criticism. His gaze was fixed on something much larger. He believed Britain stood at the edge of a great turning point, and he knew that one day a leader would rise who could change the fate of the kingdom forever. Years passed. Merlin traveled throughout the land. He wandered through ancient forests where sunlight barely touched the ground. He crossed mist-covered lakes and climbed wind-swept mountains. Everywhere he went, he gathered knowledge. He studied the stars. He listened to old stories. He learned secrets hidden within forgotten ruins. Some said he could speak with spirits. Others believed he could see the threads of destiny stretching across time itself. Whether these tales were true hardly mattered, for Merlin's wisdom became known throughout Britain. Kings sought his counsel. Warriors asked for guidance. Even powerful rulers listened when the wizard spoke. Yet Merlin remained humble. He understood that true power was not found in magic. It was found in wisdom, and wisdom required patience. One day, a troubled king named Uther Pendragon summoned Merlin to his court. Uther was a fierce ruler, strong in battle and feared by his enemies. Yet his kingdom was unstable. Alliances shifted constantly. Rebellions threatened the throne. The future seemed uncertain. Merlin arrived at the royal court and immediately sensed that destiny was unfolding. For Uther's story would lead to the birth of a child unlike any other. A child who would one day become a king, and whose name would be remembered forever. Arthur. Before Arthur's birth, Britain faced increasing chaos. Noble families competed for influence. Rival kings challenged one another. The people longed for peace, but peace remained elusive. Merlin knew that only a truly worthy leader could unite the kingdom. Such a ruler would need courage, wisdom, compassion, and a commitment to justice. These qualities could not be taught overnight. They would require years of guidance. Years of preparation. Years of sacrifice. When Arthur was finally born, Merlin understood that the moment he had foreseen was beginning to arrive. But danger surrounded the infant prince. Many enemies would seek to destroy him before he ever reached adulthood. To protect the child, Merlin devised a secret plan. Arthur would not be raised as a prince. Instead, he would grow up far from courtly intrigue, far from political schemes, far from those who might wish him harm. The boy was entrusted to the care of a noble knight named Sir Ector. There, hidden from the world, Arthur grew up as an ordinary child. He learned humility. He learned hard work. He learned kindness. Most importantly, he learned what life was truly like for common people. While Arthur matured in secrecy, Merlin watched from afar. The wizard visited occasionally, offering guidance in subtle ways. Sometimes he appeared as a traveler, sometimes as an old advisor, sometimes as a mysterious stranger. Arthur never fully understood who Merlin was. Not yet. But Merlin saw the qualities emerging within the young boy. The future king possessed courage without arrogance, strength without cruelty, ambition without greed. These traits gave Merlin hope, for he knew the challenges ahead would test Arthur in ways few could imagine. As the years passed, Britain drifted deeper into uncertainty. Then came a moment that would change history. King Uther died. Without a clear heir known to the kingdom, chaos erupted. Various nobles claimed the throne. Armies gathered. Tensions rose. The land stood on the brink of civil war. It was then that Merlin revealed a mysterious challenge. In a churchyard stood an enormous stone. Embedded within it was a shining sword. Upon the stone were written words that stunned all who read them. Whoso pulleth out this sword of this stone and anvil is rightwise king born of all England. The greatest knights in the realm attempted the feat. One after another they stepped forward. They strained. They pulled. They struggled, but the sword would not move, not even an inch. The challenge seemed impossible, and so the sword remained untouched, waiting for the one person destined to claim it. The young man who still had no idea that fate was calling his name. Arthur. The day arrived quietly. No trumpets announced it. No prophecy echoed across the land. To most people gathered near the churchyard, it seemed like an ordinary morning. Knights, nobles, and soldiers crowded around the mysterious stone. Many had traveled great distances to witness the challenge. Many still hoped to become king, yet none could draw the sword. The weapon remained firmly locked within the ancient stone, as though the earth itself refused to release it. Among the crowd stood Arthur. At that time, He was still little more than a young squire serving his foster brother, Sir Kay. Arthur had no thoughts of crowns or kingdoms. He possessed neither noble ambition nor dreams of power. His concerns were simple. He wished to serve honorably, to protect those he cared about, and to find his place in the world. On the morning of a tournament, Sir Kay realized he had forgotten his sword. Wanting to help, Arthur hurried away to retrieve another weapon. As he searched, he discovered the strange sword standing alone within the stone. The churchyard was nearly empty. A gentle wind moved through the trees. Sunlight spilled across the ancient monument. Arthur approached without hesitation. To him, it was merely a sword, nothing more. Reaching forward, he grasped the handle. Then he pulled. The blade slid free effortlessly, as easily as drawing a sword from its sheath. Arthur stared in surprise. He had no idea that he had just altered the course of history. When the truth became known, disbelief swept across the kingdom. Surely there had been some mistake. Powerful lords demanded another test. The sword was placed back into the stone. Again the strongest knights attempted the challenge. Again they failed. Then Arthur stepped forward, and once more the sword came free. Silence spread across the crowd. Many fell to their knees. Others exchanged stunned glances. The ancient prophecy had been fulfilled. The rightful king had been found. Yet becoming king was far easier than becoming a ruler. Arthur inherited a divided land. Many nobles refused to accept him. Several rival kings challenged his authority. Battles erupted across Britain. The kingdom remained fragile. At every step of the journey, Merlin stood beside him. The wizard became Arthur's most trusted advisor, not because he possessed magical powers, but because he understood human nature. Merlin taught Arthur lessons that no battlefield could provide. He taught patience. He taught mercy. He taught the importance of listening before speaking. He reminded Arthur that a king's greatest responsibility was not to command his people. It was to serve them. Together they envisioned something remarkable. A kingdom built not upon fear, but upon justice. A realm where laws protected the weak. A realm where courage mattered more than birthright. A realm where honor guided every decision. This dream would become Camelot. The magnificent castle rose upon a hill overlooking green valleys and shining rivers. Its towers reached toward the sky. Its halls echoed with laughter, music, and debate. Merchants traveled from distant lands. Artists, scholars, and craftsmen gathered there. Camelot became a symbol of hope, a beacon in a troubled world. Yet Merlin understood something few others did. Great kingdoms are not built from stone. They are built from people. To strengthen Camelot, Arthur gathered the finest knights in Britain. Warriors known not only for their skill in battle, but also for their character. Among them was Sir Lancelot. Brave and noble, a warrior whose name would become legendary. There was Sir Gawain, courageous and loyal. Sir Percival, pure of heart. Sir Galahad, whose virtue inspired all who met him. Many others joined their ranks. Together they formed the Knights of the Round Table. The table itself carried profound meaning. Unlike ordinary royal courts, no seat held greater importance than another. Every knight sat as an equal. No one occupied a position of superiority. No one claimed special privilege. The round table represented unity. It represented fairness. It represented the ideals Arthur and Merlin hoped would guide the kingdom. For many years, Camelot flourished. Peace spread throughout the land. Roads became safer. Trade increased. Village prospère. Stories of Arthur's kingdom traveled far beyond Britain's shores. People spoke of Camelot almost as though it were a dream made real. And perhaps it was. Yet even the brightest sunrise casts a shadow. Merlin knew that destiny rarely followed a straight path. Through his visions, he glimpsed fragments of the future. Moments of triumph. Moments of sorrow. Moments he desperately wished he could prevent. But the future is a strange thing. The more one struggles against it, the more difficult it becomes to escape. One evening, as the sun disappeared behind distant hills, Merlin stood alone upon the castle walls. The sky burned with shades of gold and crimson. A cool breeze drifted across the kingdom. For a brief moment, everything seemed peaceful. Yet the wizard's thoughts were troubled. He sensed that challenges still lay ahead. The dream of Camelot was strong, but dreams are delicate things. They require constant care. Constant vigilance. And sometimes, sacrifice. Merlin knew that greater trials were approaching. Trials that would test every knight. Trials that would test Arthur himself. And among those challenges would be a sacred quest. A journey unlike any other. The search for the greatest treasure in all of legend. The Holy Grail. A quest that would reveal the true nature of courage. A quest that would change Camelot forever. For many years, Camelot stood as a shining beacon across Britain. Travelers spoke of its greatness. Farmers prayed for its prosperity. Children dreamed of becoming knights who would one day sit at the round table. Under Arthur's rule, the kingdom experienced a rare season of peace. But even in the brightest gardens, hidden roots can grow beneath the soil. And Merlin knew that no kingdom, no matter how noble, could remain untouched by time. The wizard had long possessed glimpses of the future. Not clear visions. Not perfect knowledge. Only fragments, scattered pieces of a great puzzle. He had seen moments of triumph. He had seen moments of sorrow. And among those visions, one shadow appeared again and again. A shadow that stretched across Camelot like a gathering storm. Yet before that darkness arrived, one final chapter of glory awaited. The quest for the Holy Grail. According to legend, the Holy Grail was a sacred vessel blessed with divine power. Some believed it held the promise of healing. Others believed it revealed ultimate truth. Many thought it could only be found by those pure of heart. The Grail became the greatest quest ever undertaken by the Knights of the Round Table. One by one, the knights departed Camelot. They traveled through enchanted forests, across distant mountains, into forgotten lands where ancient mysteries still lingered. The journey tested far more than strength. It tested character. Greed, pride, fear, and temptation waited along every path. Some knights turned back, others became lost. A few discovered truths about themselves that changed them forever. Among all who searched, it was Sir Galahad, the purest of Arthur's knights, who came closest to the sacred mystery. His courage was not born from ambition. His strength was not driven by glory. His heart remained humble, and because of that, he experienced wonders few others could comprehend. When the surviving knights eventually returned to Camelot, they were changed. Older, wiser, more thoughtful. The quest had taught them that true greatness came not from victory over others, but from mastery of oneself. For a time, Camelot continued to flourish. Yet the shadow Merlin had foreseen was drawing closer. Far from the celebrations and feasts, seeds of division were quietly growing. Jealousies emerged. Old rivalries resurfaced. Trust became fragile. The kingdom that had once stood united began to develop cracks beneath its shining surface. Merlin watched carefully. He understood that kingdoms rarely fall from a single catastrophe. More often, they weaken slowly, like a mighty oak hollowed by unseen decay. One evening, Merlin journeyed alone into the ancient forests beyond Camelot. These woods were older than memory itself. Massive trees towered toward the heavens. Their roots twisted through the earth like sleeping serpents. Moonlight filtered through the branches, painting silver patterns across the ground. Here, far from human voices, Merlin sought wisdom. The old magic still lingered in these places, and it was here that he encountered a young woman whose beauty and intelligence rivaled anyone he had ever known. In some versions of the legend, she is called Nimue. In others, Vivian, the Lady of the Lake. Their relationship remains one of the most mysterious chapters in Merlin's story. Some tales say Merlin fell deeply in love. Others suggest he saw in her a worthy student. Whatever the truth, Merlin shared much of his knowledge with her. He taught her secrets of magic. Ancient wisdom, the hidden language of nature. But wisdom often carries a price. For even the greatest wizard could not foresee every consequence of his choices. One legend claims that Nimue eventually used the very knowledge Merlin had taught her to imprison him within a magical cave. Another says she sealed him inside a crystal tower. Others insist he was trapped within an enchanted tree. The details differ, yet all versions share a common theme. Merlin vanished from the world. Not through death, but through mystery. The wizard who had guided kings and shaped destinies simply disappeared. Some say he sleeps still beneath the hills of Britain, waiting, watching, listening, ready to return if the kingdom ever needs him again. Without Merlin's guidance, darker days approached. The greatest threat came from within. A man named Mordred. The stories vary regarding his origins. Some describe him as Arthur's nephew. Others claim he was Arthur's son. In every version, however, Mordred became the instrument of Camelot's downfall. Ambitious, clever, patient, he exploited divisions within the kingdom. He turned friends against one another. He encouraged suspicion where trust had once existed. Slowly, the unity that Arthur had spent a lifetime building began to crumble. The round table fractured, alliances shattered, Old wounds reopened, and at the center of it all stood Arthur, older now, wiser, yet burdened by sorrow. He watched as the dream he had devoted his life to protecting began to slip through his fingers. Then came the final conflict, the battle that would determine the fate of Camelot. Armies gathered beneath dark skies. Thousands of warriors assembled across a vast field. Steel glimmered beneath gray clouds. The wind carried an uneasy silence, as though the land itself understood what was about to happen. Arthur stood before his soldiers. His armor reflected the dim light of dawn. Though age had touched him, his spirit remained strong. This was not merely a battle for a throne. It was a battle for everything Camelot had represented. Justice, honor, hope. The clash that followed became legendary. Swords rang against shields. War cries echoed across the valley. Dust and smoke filled the air. Friends fell. Heroes made their final stands. The cost was terrible, and in the heart of the chaos, Arthur and Mordred finally confronted one another. The duel was fierce. Each knew the future of the kingdom rested upon the outcome. At last, both warriors struck. Mordred fell, but Arthur suffered a mortal wound. The victory came at a devastating price. As the battlefield grew silent, Arthur was carried away from the carnage. His remaining companions brought him to a peaceful lakeside. The waters were still, the air calm. The world seemed strangely quiet. There, according to legend, the magical sword Excalibur was returned to the Lady of the Lake. A mysterious hand rose from the water. The sword disappeared beneath the surface, its purpose fulfilled. Then a boat appeared through the mist. Dark-robed figures waited aboard. Arthur was carried away toward the island of Avalon, a place beyond ordinary maps, a realm suspended between history and legend. Some believed Arthur died there. Others believed he merely sleeps, waiting for the day Britain may need him again. And what of Merlin? The wizard's fate remains one of folklore's greatest mysteries. Perhaps he still dreams beneath ancient hills. Perhaps he wanders unseen through forgotten forests. Or perhaps his true legacy was never his magic at all. Perhaps it was the lesson he left behind, that wisdom is greater than power, that kindness outlives strength, and that even the grandest kingdoms are built not by magic, but by the choices people make every day. Camelot eventually faded. Its towers vanished. Its halls crumbled. The centuries marched onward. Yet the story endured. Because legends are not preserved in stone. They survive in memory, in stories shared beside fireplaces, in books passed from one generation to the next, and in the imagination of dreamers who still wonder what truths may hide beneath ancient myths. So when the evening grows quiet, and the mist drifts across distant hills, some still imagine a wizard watching from the shadows, a wise old guardian whose story has never truly ended. Merlin, the wizard of Camelot, the keeper of prophecy, the guide of kings, and one of the greatest legends ever told.